Today is a very sad day to us. We are here at Westlands, at a building that collapsed, and one person died.
He is improving buildings which are in riparian lands. He is approving buildings which are being built at a drainage system.
When the building collapses, it is the regular Kenyans, it is the hustling Kenyans who die in these kind of tragedies.
Whenever there is a crisis, there is a building that has collapsed, they tell us there is going to be investigation. We have never received any report from
Members of the fourth estate. My name is Francis Awino. I'm the convener, Mtetezi, which is a grassroots movement that emphasizes on social and economic justice. Today is a very sad day to us. We are here at Westlands, at a building that collapsed, and one person died, and others are struggling with their lives in hospital. And we felt it's right to come here so that we can do our due diligence and address the country over the same. Over the past few days and months, we have seen a lot of buildings collapsing. And what we see is excuses. An example, there is a building that collapsed in Karen that belongs to Nyakiongora, who is a professional surveyor. But if you check the building, it's not even registered with the NCAs. If you find your way to City Hall, you will find the people who are approving these buildings are not professional at all. And there is a report that came from the office of the Ombudsman saying that SD Mwangi, Analo, and the group belongs to jail because they are incompetent, they don't have knowledge, and to avoid the people of Nairobi and casual laborers continuing dying with illegal approved building, the only way we can save their lives is through taking those people who are accountable to jail. And that's why today we are telling Kenyans, you need to have some little faith. That is one of the biggest reasons why we are saying that this Nairobi, we need to have a conversation that will be based on the interests of every person who is living in Nairobi. A conversation that will be based on the interest of making sure that this country move forward towards the right direction. We are saying this because Nairobi right now hits around 5 million votes or 5 million people. You cannot run Nairobi as if it is just simple people. You have to think and rethink on the safeness of Nairobi. What is making me wonder more, the people who are accountable, like our President William Samoei Ruto, rather than being concerned on how you can bring the safeness of the people of this nation, tumeona ukiwa juu ya gari, kazi ni kutukanana. Tarehe 3, tarehe 4, Kasarani kutakuwa na vita ya mbavu chafu na weka mawe. Tulikuwa tunaomba kama madharau imefika hapo, Gachagua na Ruto mpatiwe gloves, mkatanizie hao watu, ndio mkuwa na heshima, mkuje mfanyie wa Kenya kazi. Nikimalizia, this is a very sad thing to we as the people of this nation and the people of Nairobi. Kwa sababu tumeona duty bearers. What does happen inakuanga ni ripoti inawekwa chini ya mattress. This is now the right time. Hata kama tunaangalia zile irregularities zenye zina happen saa hii, lazima tutafute ile solution yenye italeta cure kwa hizi mashida zenye tunapitia kama wana Nairobi, kama wa Kenya, once and for all. Lakini ile kitu yenye tunaomba, all the duty bearers, starting with the DCIs anti-corruption and any relevant authority. Tunataka hao watu wenye wako City Hall, we want to make sure they are not there. Na kama mtashindwa na kazi yenyu, Constitution Article 1 says the sovereignty belongs to the people of this nation. Itabidi sisi kama wana Nairobi, sisi kama wa Kenya, tuonane na hao watu wenye wako City Hall humundu, kwa sababu we are not ready to take any more lives. Hatuko ready kuchangisha twende mazishi ya wale watu wenye wanafanyia kazi buildings zenye ziliapproviwa illegally. And it is a high time to make a stop to it, to make an end to it, so that tunaweza songesha hii Kenya mbele na Nairobi mbele pamoja. And I'm appealing to all investors. This building does not belong to a Kenyan. It belongs to an investor. Tunawa encourage mkuje Kenya muendeleze development zenyu, lakini tu avoid pia njia za mkato, ndio tuweze kuprotect lives za Wakenya na lives za wanaoishi Nairobi. Asanteni sana. Mungu abariki Kenya, Mungu abariki wana Nairobi.
My name is Sifuna Nisenya Stella, in charge of communication Mtetezi. We are here today, 21st March 2026, for a press statement. From negligence to death, Nairobi's building collapse crisis is a governance failure, not an accident. Mtetezi, the grassroots economic justice movement, expresses deep sorrow, outrage and solidarity with the victims' families, workers and residents affected by the latest building collapse here in Westlands, where this 22-story building under construction partially collapsed days ago, leaving at least one worker dead and others trapped or rescued. This tragedy came only days after the Shauri Moyo collapse of March 16, 2026, which killed 4 people and follows other recent incidents, including the South Sea collapse in January 2026 and the current collapse on January 11, 2026, where 2 workers died. These are not isolated accidents. They are evidence of a city trapped in a circle of impunity, weak regulation, ignored warnings, and public institutions that too often react after lives are lost or instead of preventing disaster before it strikes. We have seen reports written, tabled, filed away and forgotten until the next collapse, the next funeral, and the next round of empty promises. Mtetezi says this cycle must end. The core issues are now painfully clear. First, there is manipulation of site conditions and planning information to justify developments that should never have been approved in the form they take. Second, there are irregular and unlawful approvals, including cases where proper technical scrutiny appears incomplete or compromised. Third, there is wrong zoning, non-compliance, and unlawful destruction that puts too much pressure on land, infrastructure, and safety systems. Fourth, there are violations of setback, ventilation, privacy, and public health requirements, which are not cosmetic rules but part of the safety architecture of an urban area. Fifth, and most dangerously, there is enforcement failure. Notices are issued, red flags are raised, but works continue. A stop order does not stop anything is not enforcement. Advocation that does not halt construction is not accountability. Mtetezi therefore calls for immediate accountability from all relevant offices. The Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja must publicly release the approval, inspection, and enforcement history for the latest collapsed building and other major collapse sites. The county departments responsible for planning, development, control, and enforcement must disclose which high-risk buildings in Nairobi are currently under dispute, notice, or investigation. The National Construction Authority, Engineers Board of Kenya, and Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors must identify the professionals linked to recent collapses and confirm whether disciplinary action has begun. The ministry responsible for housing, public works, and urban development must treat this as a national urban safety crisis, while Parliament, the Senate, and the County Assembly Building collapse because institutions are weak. They collapse because approvals are compromised, because inspections are ignored, because notices are mocked, because profit outruns ethics, and because lives of workers and ordinary Nairobi residents are treated as expendable. Every ignored report is a future death notice. Every filed and forgotten investigation is a silent permit for the next disaster. To the families who have lost loved ones, to the workers who enter unsafe sites because they need to survive, to the residents living in fear beside questionable developments, and to the public that keeps witnessing this cycle of negligence, Mtetezi stands with you. No more collapsing buildings, no more buried reports, no more buried victims. Thank you.
I'm saying my name is Nenjom Joshua, National Coordinator Mtetezi. Today we are here at Westlands, and as Mtetezi, we are here again to remind the Nairobians that we are on our own. The people that we elected, the ineptness in them. I want to ask one in charge governor that we know you came to the public and told us that the system that Nairobi is using, it was one that was built during colonial period. But I'm asking, what about those who are working at the executive level with you? We know one in charge of disaster management is somebody who did theology here at one of our institutions. And we all know that that is a critical docket that does not require somebody who did theology. We've seen people being stuck in the debris because the guy has zero knowledge about what is happening. The other guy who is in urban planning, he did CPA. And we all know that that dockets require somebody who has a background in engineering. These are the people who are making Nairobi, who are approving buildings, because he has no knowledge in engineering. He is improving buildings which are in riparian lands. He is approving buildings which are being built at a drainage system. We know there are several buildings which are at riparian lands, and they have been approved by those people who are working in your executive. As you are calling you, Bwana Johnson Sakaja, we know that you say these problems are for 100 years plus, but what about those people who have no knowledge, the inept people who are working with you together in the executive? These people have no knowledge in issues of construction. Somebody who did CPA, every time he signs or he approves for a construction, he doesn't care that what he's approving will result to death. We've known for the last 1 week, 3 buildings have collapsed in Nairobi. And it's because of the negligence, the ineptness in those people that you've chose to work with. As you're not questioning you as an individual, we are questioning the entire executive, people who are working with, people who belong to jail. In fact, since you've been elected, your credentials are unquestionable. So as Mtetezi, what you're asking and what you're telling Nairobians, the people who are working with one governor, those people belong to jail. Those people belong to committee. They should not be working in the executive position. The one who is in charge of disaster management, he studied theology. The only thing that we see or where he appears in public is to give people condolence note while people are suffering. Thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Makolonde Charles. I'm in charge of research and policy at Mtetezi, and mine will be very brief. And it goes into Access of Information Act, number 21 of 2016, which basically operationalized Article 35 on access of information. And our request and may demand to the county government is to release the zoning compliance issues. we want to know the zoning classification of Nairobi. We need that breakdown. Because for instance, if you look behind us, there's a building with more than 20 stories. But within the 10-kilometer radius, there's none above 5 stories. Does it mean that this area, this specific acre, has a different zoning classification than the neighboring areas? So we need to know. And as mtetezi, so that we avoid these issues, because it is very rare. And since the building started collapsing, it's very rare to see buildings with the less stories collapsing. It's always huge buildings with excess floors, which are collapsing all over Nairobi. So we need that zoning classification, and we need it publicized so that Kenyans themselves can also oversight. Because as my brother has said, the people in charge of those dockets are theologians, are accountants, are people not qualified to actually superintend or oversight the kind of work that is happening around Nairobi. So we are demanding that the zoning classification be made public so that we can peruse and the people themselves can be able to oversight, because when the building collapses, it is the regular Kenyans, it is the hustling Kenyans who die in these kind of tragedies. Thank you, and God bless you.
Members of the press, my name is Paul Victor. I'm in charge of operation at Mtetezi. I'm also a grassroots social justice crusader. So once again, we are here to remind the Nairobi leadership that enough is enough. This is not the first press conference we are doing. We have done several. And whatever we have been witnessing is that there are a lot of PR. I saw the other day the government just said, the governor of Nairobi sent few people to Lavington up there just to do some PR activities in the name of clearing riparian land. As we talk, several people are in the mortuaries. Many people are grieving because of the filth, incompetence, and lack of clear structure and policy from the leadership of Nairobi. So we want to call again the Nairobi County government and the national government to act as soon as possible, because every time, whenever there is a crisis, there is a building that has collapsed, they tell us there is going to be investigation. We have never received any report from the investigation nor action that has been taken. So as Mtetezi, we will always remind them, we will not tire. We will keep on exposing the rot in every sector so that we ensure that we have a proper governance structure. Thank you.